Welcome back to the Beatdown Bandits podcast. I am Colin, and this is season 3, episode 12. I totally looked at my notes because I can never remember what number I'm on. But back with me again for like the 4th time or so is Kamiyo.
Yeah. I think it's true. I think it's the fourth time. I think that should be correct. And thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to to talk to another human and not to myself. In this, sadly, I've done a couple of these that were well over an hour by myself, having conversations. So always fun. But we can just jump right into things. Since everybody knows Kamiyo now, we'll let Kamiyo kind of shout himself out at the end.
It's me, your stuttering mess.
My stuttering mess. So starting off, as I've been watching some trailers here recently of like games coming and movies coming and stuff, and I'm like, I kind of felt like there was like a lack of things coming, in general of everything, which probably has something to do with probably COVID a little bit of everybody working from home, and it slows things down, and who knows. But so wanted to ask what upcoming games, or if you're aware of anything that you want to play that have not come out yet or coming out soon.
Yes, the thing is, I think you are actually right. At least this year, there's not really that much, I would say, which I am waiting for or which I'm hyped for, because I don't know. It seems like this year, at least for now, doesn't seem to have any big bangers anymore. But I I'm not entirely sure. I think the new God of War is not aimed for 2022, so I think it's if
Yeah,
it comes,
it's
there
maybe
will
late
be
2022.
yeah. I mean, there will be at least one of the games I would really like to play, and I'm looking forward to. But yeah, I don't know, and I kind of doubt that it would be actually still coming out this year. But who knows, man? Who knows?
And
But
that's like Ragnarok, is that what it is?
yeah. You're right.
It's
Um,
pretty cool.
but other than that, is there something else? I mean, what would be cool, but I think that's still years ahead. Would be a new The Witcher game, which would be really, really cool, man. But yeah, I think that's also far, far away. So,
Have you
but
watched The Witcher on Netflix?
I am a big fan, but I have to be honest. I think I have only watched so far maybe 3 episodes, but I heard a lot of good stuff. So I think I should keep going and
Yeah.
look more.
Well, and see, like I thought, or at least what I had heard was like when it started off, like, oh, this is horrible. But like apparently, like every season, like it's getting better and better and better.
Yeah, I heard
So
that too, man.
yeah, it might be worth, because I think like the third is it on like the third season already? I don't know if the third season's out or
The
what.
third or fourth is already coming, something like that. Yeah, I
Okay.
think you're right.
So I have a few things on here. One I was totally unaware of until like I was kind of digging into like some of the cool things. But first thing that pops into my head, because I literally just saw this. I don't know when it's coming, but there's a Pacman Museum coming, which sounds ridiculous, but like what the hell is this? But like you're literally like Pac-Man, you walk around, like you build your own arcade and you can like unlock all Pac-Man games. So you're Pac-Man, you walk around to like all the little games in the arcade and you can play every Pac-Man game. And like as you advance and you play, like, oh, I got my new high score in, Miss Pac-Man or whatever. Like you unlock that, you could like decorate your arcade a little better or whatever. I don't know. It seemed awesome.
So wait, I do have a question right there.
Oh
I
God.
mean, I do understand Pigman, but
Yes, yes.
how many Pigman games are there, and is there really a big difference between them? Because I kind of doubt it. I mean, it's the Pigman, right?
Well, when it came down to it, like I could remember like three. And then, but apparently, according to this, there's 14. I
What?
don't know. And there might be like 3D versions or whatever, which might be like really complex. But it's almost like, how like you have like the like working your way to like Super Mario platformers, then you get to things of like Mario 64 and Galaxy and stuff where it's, you know, a little more open world-esque. I think there
Yeah.
are Pac-Man games like that.
Oh, okay, okay,
So
okay.
I think only the first handful, and then probably a couple random ones here or there, are the traditional eating dots,
Oh,
running from
okay,
ghost
yeah,
type things that you would think of.
yeah.
But
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. I thought it sounded unique. I will maybe get it if it's like super cheap, but I can't imagine them charging like a full price game for Pac-Man. But who knows?
I mean, I think at least, I mean, in the past, it's I don't know, maybe already 20 years old or something. I do remember something similar. I don't know. I think it was maybe something a PS1 game from Bandai Namco or something. But we actually, I think you ran around as Pac-Man in something like an arcade hall too, and you could play different Namco
Oh, okay.
Bandai games, I think, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but it just twitched something in my mind. There was something I think something like this was there in the past. Yeah, something, but I don't
So
know.
now I'm
But
gonna have to look.
it's
I'm gonna have to look this up. You think it's like PS1, PS2 time frame?
PS1. I think. Yeah, I can
PS1. Okay.
try
I
if I
because
can
like
find
I
it.
had. Let's see. This is where I'm gonna struggle on our next question. Is like games you never played. Is like I had up to like a PS3, but like I stopped playing PS3 like instantly almost because like all my friends were on Xbox, and I'm like, well, I don't know anybody on PlayStation, so I gave up on PlayStation, and then that's when all like the good shit came. So yeah, that's my embarrassing questions for next one. But yeah, I'm curious about that Pac-Man one.
I
Um,
think I actually quickly sorry. I think I actually found it.
okay,
It's I can tell you the name. It's the Namco Museum. I think
okay.
yeah. Namco Museum.
I'm
Just for
gonna
everyone.
have to do some editing in this podcast, which I very
Namco.
rarely do. But now I'm gonna have pop-ups and crap
Oh
coming up on the
yes.
screen, and oh man, this is gonna be complicated. Not really. Okay, so the next thing I have is Steel Rising. I don't know if you've heard of this game. I am yet to
No.
see a trailer. So I don't know when this comes out, but I heard about it like last year. So it takes place during the 1700s, like French Revolution, but it's what did they I forget what like they called it like a Dark Souls game that takes place during the 1700s French Revolution, but it's against robots. So it's yeah, literally Steel Rising. So like yeah, you're fighting off robots in the Dark Souls like esque universe.
Oh yes, I do remember. I just I think I saw the trailer at E3 or something,
Okay,
or
yeah, they could have
at a
came up with that.
PlayStation thing or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I'm
it's
curious
just
about this one.
so it's like Dark Souls, but just with robots or what?
With robots, but in the 1700s.
Okay, that is
Yeah, so I was like, well, that's really unique. I like what kind of drunk
that
person
is
came up with this concept.
that is really a unique setting. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
agree.
Two other things I have, like one was there's a new Ghostbusters game I think coming out this year. I'm guessing. Did you ever see the new Ghostbusters movie, like Afterlife? Okay.
No, no.
Are you a
Yeah.
Ghostbusters person? Like,
I don't. I did want to say it, but no, unfortunately, I am not. I think that Ghostbusters. I still remember one of the old movies, but Ghostbusters was never really the biggest thing for me. I don't know if it was just before my time, but yeah, I have never been the biggest fan, to be honest.
okay. Well, the new one I thought was actually really good. It was modernized, but they had like ties in to the originals, which was pretty cool. But there is a new Ghostbusters game, and I've seen like a little bits and pieces of it, but it actually looked pretty good. And then the last one is Gotham Knights. Um, which I'm not a huge like the new Batman games are like really good, but I have gotten like tired of them. Like some of those like gigantic style games where it's like massive stories, huge open worlds. Like sometimes like you can just get overwhelmed and tired. But this one seems pretty unique with like four characters you can play as. So I kind of like that idea.
I do have to agree, and I have to add that to my list too, man. That Arkham Knights is the name, yeah. I think,
Yeah.
yeah. It looks so freaking cool, and I'm in the same boat as you. I love the Rocksteady Batman games.
Yeah.
They were so freaking good. I still remember to this day how I started, how I played the first game, Arkham Asylum, Arkham Asylum, and it was so good. So yeah, and now that you actually then can kind of play it in a co-op thing, I think that could be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I don't, I'm assuming you can do online co-op with
I
four
think you
players,
can. I
which oh no, wasn't it like something stupid? Like it was only like three players. I think I remember reading that like when
oh,
it first. Now there's four people, but it was like 3-person co-op. I'm like, how the hell does that work? Like,
okay, that would
is
be
the
weird.
fourth one just like some idiot AI? I don't know. I feel like I almost have to like look that up, but
I I mean, one interesting game that still would be there, but um, over the last 3 years, it lost most of its hype. Not not only from me, but I also think almost from everyone else too. Is actually Overwatch 2,
mm-hmm.
which a couple years ago I was still pretty hyped for that game, but now it's just like I I feel like it wouldn't even matter to me anymore, even if it would, even if it would release next month or something. It's just like, I don't know. It's
Right.
just completely out of the field.
Yeah, I didn't watch or didn't play too much of the like the original Overwatch or whatever. Like it just did not seem like something I would enjoy. I have a friend who's like hardcore into it, like he loves it. And yeah, this is just it's just one of those things, not for me. Like it's like I would get it and then just never play it type of a thing. That would be one of those games that just sits there. Like I've got like
Yeah.
90 games like I'm sitting here looking at. I've played like 12. It's like, yep, never gonna get to those. So speaking of games that you're never going to get to, uh
So the pile of shame.
right, your pile, like the pile of, yeah, shame and embarrassment is, yeah, the ones you never played. So is there anything as far as that goes that you just never have gotten to?
Oh yes, too many. I mean, I don't even know where I should begin. I mean, uh, well, I'm glad that I started it, but I started playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and I don't know, I'm maybe 10 hours in, but the last time I played it is maybe even a month ago or something. I kind of still want to play it, but somehow you still have to find the time for it. But that is at least one of the games that is really want to play, and at least one game that I'm at least a little embarrassed about because it kind of fits the theme of my channel, because at least I am a big Japanese samurai fan, and so therefore I don't know how I could manage so far to have never played Ghost of Tsushima, I think is the
Yeah,
name.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it looks really damn as cool, but so far I have never touched it, and it's I'm a little bit ashamed of it, man.
Didn't you say also like GTA, like you never had like really
Yep,
gotten into?
yep. I mean, to be fair, I I think I started GTA 5 maybe for 5 minutes or maybe 10. And then I just quit it again and never touch it again for, I don't know, 10 years. Or, I mean, how long is this game already out? Almost 10 years or
Like
something?
2013. So
Damn.
yeah,
Yeah.
almost 10. Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah, but yeah, that is I mean I think you even told me or encouraged me to play it, but so far, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's I feel like Rockstar always has like those excellent stories like Red Dead and Red Dead 2 and stuff. Like those are just such excellent like not even just like the online versions, but just the story modes are just so amazing. They have good storytellers, I think,
Oh yeah.
is what they kind of specialize in. And I've talked about that quite a few times of like it's just uh in my opinion, like some of the best story modes of all time or
Mm.
whatever.
I mean,
So
the one
yeah.
thing. Oh yeah. Sorry.
Nope,
Go
nope,
ahead.
that's it. That's it.
Okay. The one thing that I can say, if the GTA 5 story and the feeling of the game is as good as in Red Dead Redemption 2, then I really have to still have to play it. I mean, I guess I still have time, and I could even see that maybe the game by the time gets even in not a new remasters version. So who knows? Who knows, man?
Yeah, they have like 4 different versions of it now or whatever. So like, for like every generational console, it's like, oh my god, like we got to stop doing this. Like it's just ridiculous. Um, yeah, yeah, in my opinion, like the story is more humorous in like GTA. I accidentally just muted myself. Red Dead is like a much, I think like it's an overall better story, but I think like uh yeah, GTA is it's probably a bigger story, but just it's a lot more humorous. It has a lot more crazy moments. We'll just we'll say that
Okay.
much. Okay, so yeah, my list of shame is was some of it is like PlayStation exclusive type stuff, like The Last of Us. Like I've seen like full all videos of like that, like God of War. It's another one where it's just like I've watched, I know everything that happens because I've seen it, but I've just never touched it. So it's not the same. But yeah, I've seen full playthroughs. Like the Dark Souls, the Elder Ring, stuff like that. Like I don't have that desire, I guess. Like one of those things, and that's what worries about me, like Steel Rising, where it was like, is it going to be one of those games where it's just like almost impossible, where you have to sit there and fight the same dude like for like 5 hours until you figure out the math behind it? Like I don't want to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah,
So I
man.
just don't have the patience. But that worries me a little bit. But yeah, like like the OG like Dark Soul games, like no, not for me.
Yep, agreed,
But like
agreed, agreed.
Destiny, that was the thing I had to scribble on to my thing. Like I know like Destiny 2 was not as big or whatever, but like Destiny was probably something I should have touched, but
Oh
never did.
yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Good game. Good game. Good game.
I had it installed for probably 2 years or something like that, and I think I still have it. But yeah, I never touched it. I'm a
I
little
mean,
embarrassed.
get a, the one thing I can say about Destiny, what was always good, and even in Destiny 1 and even Destiny 2, I actually exclusively played on console, on PlayStation, and even on that, it made so much fun
Hmm.
because I don't know how Bungie does it or did it. At least the gunplay in Destiny overall features so good, man. I mean, it's hard to explain, but it's just fun to play around, and just the guns, they just feel so good. It's so hard for me to explain, but it's just a fact.
Yeah, and that's why I always like the Halo games. I mean, it's the same, yeah,
Yeah,
it's all
yeah,
Bungie or
yeah, yeah,
whatever, but yeah, they do guns really well.
yeah,
And they're unique guns. They hit right, and some of them are just so cool, like the Needler gun or whatever
yeah.
from Halo. It's
Classic,
like
man.
so cool.
Yeah.
It was a unique concept. All right. Any other? I like your pile
Shit.
of shame. That was a
The
good.
pile of shame.
I couldn't think of anything like. Well, like I played like a little bit of like World of Warcraft, but like I never got into it, so I didn't include that on my list. But League of Legends, like I know you play League of Legends.
Yes, yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
never touched League of Legends.
Really, never,
I've,
never.
I've never touched it.
Oh my god, we have to do it, man. I call it right now. This will be a thing soon. League
Okay,
of
so
Legends,
I'm gonna
let's
have to get
go.
that. Okay. Yep,
Oh my
never
god.
touched it. So yeah, that's a little bit of embarrassment, but okay. Now this one was a little bit harder. I had to actually like think about this one over the last couple of days. But games that should be remade, because I'm not big on remakes, but I'm like, how could you remake games? And I'm trying to think of like, and the way I was looking at it is not like the like remastered versions, like haha, GTA 5 version 12, but like, but like, what games happened like 4 consoles ago or whatever that are worth redoing completely in that aspect. Um, I have a couple that like instantly sprang to mind. So I can start this and maybe that'll spring something for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
some of this
Please
might be like
go
right up
ahead.
your alley too. But I thought like any of the OG Zelda games like made sense to me. But Ocarina of Time was like always one of my
Oh,
favorites, and I feel like that would be so
yes.
easy to like redo right now.
Oh, yes, yes.
Um,
Yeah, that would be so great. Oh.
and I don't
Mm.
know, like I don't have a Switch, so what's the new one? Something Wind.
Um, um,
Breath of the Wind, Breath of the
that
Wild.
wait, we can go quickly go back because would be actually on my pile of shame.
Okay, yeah,
be,
for sure, yeah.
be, because, because I have the game, but so far I have never completed it and maybe only played a couple of hours of it. It's Zelda Breath of the Wild, right? I think,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that sounds right. Okay.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild. Yeah, I think that is the name. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd never touched that one. I'm not too embarrassed by that one because I just don't have a Switch, but I feel like that one's probably okay. But like Half-Life was another one that came.
Oh,
Because I feel like those like 1 and 2 like sprung so many other things from them.
yes,
So that was
yes.
another one that I really kind of liked.
You bring out these bangers, man.
Yeah, yeah, like, and I feel like it's also very doable.
Oh yeah.
That was such a fun one. And then I think like anything on the Nintendo 64. And the most obvious one would be like Super Mario 64. I feel like could be easily kind of like redone,
Yeah.
almost like a remastered version, but like modernized. Like I feel like would be kind of worth it. And then the only other one that I came up with, I don't know if you played this. This one actually might have been before your time. Was the original actual GTA, which was like a bird's eye view of like city
Yeah, yeah,
streets.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
know
I
it. I know it.
I played that back, whatever that was, like 97-ish or so, around that time frame, 98. I don't remember what year that was, but it was in the 90s. And yeah, that one was always really awesome. But like redoing that, uh, with like a new GTA with like the top down version, I think would be kind of cool.
Oh, oh, interesting. So you mean basically like the new GTA 5, but just still the camera from above.
Yeah, and yeah, so
Oh,
you modernize the graphics a little bit, but everything's above, and you could add a little bit of story here and there, but that one was always so, I don't know. There was less story to it and more just like running around and crazy things happening. So
interesting. Yeah,
I
yeah.
I feel like I've talked about this before, like early on in the podcast was uh the cops in GTA are like famous for just going like ape shit basically, of like just like, oh, I looked at you funny, and you just they pull out guns and start shooting you until you're dead. So right? Like, oh, I ran the stop sign, so I need to die. So they're like kind of famous for that. It was totally incidental, like in the original. So like it's been that way ever since the original GTA. The person who coded the cops, like they became just like hyper aggressive, and then like whoever was like running the show is basically like, yeah, I feel like this is kind of funny, so you should keep this. So all
Nice.
GTAs, the cops are just insane because of like an issue. Like the guy who originally coded the police in the original GTA made them way too aggressive, and they just
Interesting.
have always kept it since then. So that's why the police are crazy in GTA. There's a little fun fact. It
Fun
was
thing, man.
accidental. All right, so yeah, anything you can think of that needs to get remade?
Uh, I mean, already said it, but I do have to agree with you. Half-Life remake would be so damn
Yeah,
awesome. I just love the game so much. That was I don't. It was just it just changed the complete first person genre, I think, man.
yeah,
And it was just the story was still good. And I mean, m- maybe at least for me, because I was still small, that I thought I was just um how can I say that? Maybe I just see it from a nostalgic viewpoint, but I still think that that game was so awesome and so great. So I
hmm
would actually really would love to see something like a remake, or like the whole world is opening.
yeah,
A Half-Life 3.
yeah. That's never gonna happen.
No, I doubt it too.
About
Um,
once a year, I randomly read something where like Half-Life 3 rumors, or like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm like, whatever, this is trash. It ain't happening, man. That's been talked about for 20 years now, so not gonna happen.
I mean, other than
Oh,
that,
sad.
which maybe almost in the similar genre, it's just, I guess, the really old Doom games just
Yeah.
remade again. That would be cool too, I think.
What was the new one that just came? But then there was like a new one that just came out, right? Like four
Yes,
years
yes,
ago or
that
something
was
like that.
yeah. I still have the collector's edition up there, but uh oh yeah, sorry, Doom Eternal.
Eternal. Okay.
Doom Eternal.
I think I have that. Never touched it, so I can add that to my
Nice, nice. Pile of
my
shame.
shame list. That's so
uh,
sad. Like you have all these because I think it was free for like Game Pass people. So
oh yes.
yeah, so I get all this like random crap for free, which is awesome. Like I yeah, like all Halo games I own, type of stuff, and never had to pay a dime for them. So that's always a cost. Well, I did like when they
Love
first
to
came
see it.
out, I guess, but like today, like I don't have to pay for them. So
Mm.
which is nice. Okay. So we may have discussed this in the first time we did like your like what was it, like discussion with Kamiyo. I don't remember what episode that was of the podcast, but like games you remember beating.
Mm.
And which is probably going to be like your shameless now with Red Dead and GTA or whatever. But so yeah, what are like the all-time great games that you remember beating?
Yes. Oh yeah, and I do remember that we talked about it. Yeah, and I still stand by my first answer, which was, I think I answered back then, the ending of The Witcher 3 from the DLC Blood and Wine. That was so good, and I still stand by it. It just made me feel, and a small spoiler, but the way he just broke the fourth wall in that moment just made me feel so hard, and I feel so sad somehow, because just knew, okay, it's over now, and I probably will and I probably will never see this guy again, which apparently we will, but yes, I don't know, but it was just such a good game, and the ending just was such a good payoff. And besides that, I mean, guess we can just go back and forth. So I guess you can go, and while you tell me something cool, I
Yeah.
will think about another game.
Well, yeah, since we discussed it, Red Dead 1 and 2, I feel like are so unique. And I love, and without spoiling like Red Dead 2, which ties into Red Dead 1, with John Marston or whatever. So it's Red Dead 2's ending is so awesome because not only does it have like its epic, amazing ending that Rockstar usually does, is it leads right into Red Dead 1 and kind of just takes you into that. And then like even like the end of Red Dead 1, which I didn't appreciate as much at the time. And now like after I played Red Dead 2, like I really appreciate Red Dead 1 a little bit more. And so yeah, like those were such unique endings. So yeah, you definitely have to spend, I don't know what the playthrough time like just running through Red Dead is probably like in that 20 to 40 hour range because it's massive.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
I
you may
think.
have to bite the bullet and do that one. You can probably skip a ton of like the side quests, but if you're just going for the ending, but that adds to the whole thing, you know.
So are Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2 tied together
They
somehow?
are, yeah. So Red
Oh,
Dead Redemption
really?
2 is actually the prequel to Red Dead Redemption 1.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and that's
Because
not really a spoiler because you play as John Marston in Red Dead 1 and you
yeah.
know what happens to him at the end of Red Dead 1. So I won't spoil that for anybody who hasn't played it, but then uh he is around and in the story in Red Dead 2, and you can find out like, oh, these things have not yet happened from Red Dead
Oh,
1. So
okay.
yeah, Red Dead
Okay.
1 happens right before Red Dead 2.
Okay,
Like
interesting.
uh technically probably like 4 years, 5 years prior.
Hmm. Then I still have to play it again. Definitely.
Yeah,
Right.
it's amazing. Yeah, Red Dead honestly, in my opinion, is probably the best story I've ever played. It's really good. They're very likable characters, and some are really hateable characters. So yeah.
I mean, okay, what other games are there that had really great endings or special endings? I mean, I uh, still do remember that I think I really liked the ending of The Last of Us 1. That was kind of a special ending, but kind of cool. Uh, didn't woke up so many feelings in me like The Witcher, but it
Mhm.
was still a good ending. Besides The Last of Us, I think one maybe ending that was special, but somehow kind of interesting because it was a powerful ending. Was I think it was the ending from God of War 3. Um, in spoilers, maybe, we actually where he then finally fights his father and just kills him like badly,
Mm.
and then just the ending is yeah, it was still an sad but somehow an amazing brutal ending, but it was and still somehow cool.
That's kind of like, did you play like a whole bunch of the Assassin's Creed games?
Oh yes, I forgot about that. You are so right. Yes, of
Yeah, I
course.
didn't have that on my list when you're talking about like killing their fathers or whatever. Like Assassin's Creed 3, like kind of hits home with that. Like that's a really good ending, but
Yes.
I don't think anything like really tops the Ezio storyline. My
Yeah.
opinion for those. So like Revelations was such an awesome tie-in to like the original Assassin's Creed and how they did that. Did you ever
Yes.
play through all those?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
They were all so
that's a
good,
good
man. So
ending.
good. Yeah.
They've all got really good endings. A little confusing with like the Minerva and all the space crap, and it's a little
Yeah.
weird, but uh yeah, the actual tie-ins to Altair and stuff were really awesome.
I mean, I cannot remember. Maybe you can enlighten me. I still remember there was one ending. I don't know which you already played with Ezio, and there was a m- moment where you were in this cave, I think, and then this godlike
Yeah,
thing talked to
that's
you.
Minerva. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was a, at least for me, that was a really powerful special ending. Like, oh my god, what the hell is happening here?
Exactly.
And it was really freaking cool, man. It
It's one of
made
those
me so
games that's
hyped.
like the story itself of like Ezio or Connor or whoever, like they're all super awesome.
Yeah.
But then like the modern day tie-in where like people are going back and like playing as their ancestors and they're trying to find things that their ancestors, like the tie-ins with that, like just make the story like so much more intense. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's unique. They could almost be left out, but I don't think it would have the same effect.
yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the downside because like I feel like my nephew or something. Like I tried to talk him into playing it, and he's like, "What the hell's going on? Like, there's like, is this modern or does this take place during like the Italian Renaissance?" And I'm like, well, it's both, man. Like,
Oh man, come on.
open
It's
your
the
mind.
my, get mind blown, my friend. Um the one thing I have never understood was why did just kill killed off Desmond, like, and he's gone now, and from now on they have never talked about him again, I think. And I
Yeah,
still know I had a hope because I don't know, I played one game, I don't know which game, but when you were not inside this, how do
the
you,
Animus.
how, yeah, yeah, you're right.
Mm.
In one game you were actually not inside it, and you could actually see some posters on the wall where
That's
they had
Like Assassin's Creed 4, where you're like in an
my,
office.
yes, right,
Yeah,
right. And they had this poster with Rising Phoenix on
yeah,
it, and I thought,
yeah.
like, yes, yes, Desmond will come back, but so far he has not come back,
Nope.
and I doubt that he will.
No, yeah, that's yeah, Assassin's Creed 4, you actually like work for the enemy, Abstergo, but you're like
Yes,
kind of
yes,
like
right, yeah.
undercover. So you're like a double agent in Abstergo and you're playing as Edward Kenway, and which a lot of people is like their favorite Assassin's Creed because they like the pirate aspect. Which
That
yeah,
was pretty damn cool, yeah.
yeah, Assassin's Creed 4, I say yeah, Assassin's Creed 4. That is right up there with one of my favorites. I know it's a lot of people's favorite, but I can't not say like Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood are easily my favorites,
Yep.
with like 4 right there and then like maybe 3.
Mm.
I don't mind. I don't
I'm,
like Connor as a person. He's a badass fighter and the
yes.
story is cool, but he's obnoxious to me.
Yeah, the thing is for me, gameplay wise, I do have to read the fourth one is might be actually the best, but I'm not sure because it just brought so many new things to the table.
Hmm.
But story wise, I always thought that the fourth game was kind of weird. It or didn't really make that much sense, and compared to the Desmond story, it was just weak. At least in my opinion.
Yep, I agree 100%. So yeah, it's frustrating, but those all do have really good endings, and I didn't even write that down, but you said something that like sprung the the Assassin's Creed Revolutions, probably The Witcher. Oh, it was the God of War. Yeah, killing the
Yeah,
father. Right? That's what it was.
yeah,
I thought of yeah, Connor. Okay. Yeah, and I had GTA 5 on my list. Well, like it's got multiple different types of endings, the way you kind of want to decide it. They're all decent. The story's good, but it's kind of like a letdown of but it's such a complex game to have to try to beat. It's kind of challenging in that aspect. But the like legit ones that I wrote down were like Halo, like the first 3 Halo games.
yes, you're right.
Now granted, like after like Halo 3, I thought like, oh my god, this is done. And like the story, like Halo 1 and Halo 2 were so much better, I think. But then like the ending and the wrap up, like you could tell like they didn't know what the hell they were doing in Halo 3. Like they didn't know where the story was going. And then like
Yeah,
but the wrap up was pretty cool, and I kind of thought like, oh, like this is the end of Master Chief, and obviously that's not correct now, but
yeah, yeah,
it was a cool, because I think what he like goes into like uh, cryogenic freeze, and you think he's just floating off into space, and he's just gonna
yeah.
die. So, and
Yep.
like Cortana was gone, I think. So yeah, there was like all that stuff.
I mean the ending from the third uh third Halo game was actually, yep, I do agree, was so cool because like you already said, you actually thought that he's now dead.
Yeah,
And then he was not, but it was such a good, amazing ending. So yep.
yeah, that's right up there for me. All right, yeah. Any other endings?
I think we summed up most of the good ones. The Halo ones were always like you already said, so good. Apart from that, I guess there are still more, but they just don't come to mind.
I mean, there's tons of games that were like a nightmare to beat, and they're like there's such a like a letdown of like the
Yeah,
ending. I was like, really, like I beat this game. I spent all these hours doing this and all this stress, and all you're showing me is the credits. Like, come on, man. Like, I need a story wrap up or something. But yeah, there's so many of
oh,
those too.
I think I still have one more game because I just thought about it. I think the endings from Metal Gear 2 and 3 were also not that bad. If I remember them correctly, they just left me. I think they left me amazed too.
Yeah, those were always like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And I feel like there was like one, and I don't remember which one, because those are games that I haven't played, or they haven't even like had those come back forever. I feel like that's maybe like one of those games that I could almost get like remade today or something. I feel like they haven't had a new one for a while, but I know one of those endings like really stood out, but I don't remember which one it was. But that's a good call. Yeah, that's a whole nother one. All right. So yeah, wrapping up. As far as like games or whatever, what what is like important to you, or why are they important to you?
games.
Yes, video games. Did I not say video games?
Oh,
maybe
I
I
don't
maybe I
think so,
didn't.
but but I could be wrong. So why are games important to me? Yeah, first
Yes.
of all, it's just to have fun, of course, and I I think it's actually hard to, to say for me because I have played my whole life and I don't know if it actually is already an addiction and like a drug for me, so that I
Mm,
just have to play games. Um, but it's a really good question. Why are they important to me? To have fun, but to also maybe partly, at least in the last 10, 15 years, I would say it's also just to have fun with friends, to be able to play with them some funny, goofy games. And then I guess to just be able sometimes to isolate yourself from the real world and be able to explore and see some fantasy stuff that you are just not able to see in the real world or something. It's just I know there's a word for it, but I don't know it in English. um, it's just to immerse yourself in these fantasy worlds and just try to I'm missing the word for it. Sorry.
I mean, I think you nailed it. I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, immersing yourself and just kind of checking out, and
Right. Yeah.
yeah, forgetting about everything else, and yeah,
Yeah.
jumping into, you said, like a fantasy that you couldn't live in real life
Right.
type
Right.
of
Right.
stuff, for
Right.
sure. Yeah, that's well said. mean, that is exactly what I I would say is like, yeah,
I'm
you got
sorry,
no,
I
no,
stole
no,
that.
no. I think it's like most people's anyway,
Yes,
would be
yes.
like their thing of like, I don't know if I'm like addicted, but like it's definitely like one of those things where it's just like, like I don't need to do it, but like it's definitely like for stress relief and things like that, like just um checking out from like the day to day type things and less
Yes.
responsibilities and stuff like that. And yeah, and like you said, like over like at least like the last like decade or so, like being able to do things more online and do goofy goofy crap with your friends, gate launch glitches and trolling your
Yes,
friends and
yes.
punching them off maps and things like that. Yeah, that's
Uh,
that's so much more fun.
but yeah, I do agree. It's somehow hard to pinpoint why I I even play games every day. It's so hard to tell you the exact reason because it almost seems like I don't know.
I mean, everybody has like those hobbies, and it's like, some people like to, read books and build
Yeah, that's
model
true.
planes and do all these different things. And
Yeah,
I like to play video games. Like that's my hobby. So
yeah,
I
true.
don't know. Like I feel like some of the stigmas of like people who play video games are not as common as they used to be. But like
Oh yes, yes, yes.
5, 10 years ago, when
Mm.
I was like, okay, well, I'm going to play video games. Like, well, aren't you an adult? Like, what are you what are you doing? That's not as common of a question
Oh
anymore.
yes, yeah,
So I think more and more people do it. And it's probably because more and more 30 and 40-year-olds grew up playing video games all the time. So
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
in 5, 10 years from now, I don't think anybody would question a 50-year-old man playing video games. It's
Nope,
just kind
nope,
of
nope.
funny, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think we also talked about this the first time I was on your podcast. I think it was, and I also think I already told the story, but I'm not confident enough to not tell it again. So
Do
it
it.
was, I think 10 or 15 years ago. There was still, like you already said, gaming was not the thing or not a main thing back then. And I do remember that I still that I hit the fact that I was playing World of Warcraft because back in those days you would have been the biggest nerd on earth and they would all try to ignore you because you play World of Warcraft. And so I kept it my secret and never told it anyone at school. And it's just, but that just now changed completely. I think,
Yeah.
or I would assume so.
And yeah, sometimes just like the people or whatever, because yeah, like you said, like if you were to say that now, it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
nobody would really care. And yeah,
yeah.
it's so unique. But yeah, like I probably would have done the same thing. Like, it's almost like well, that I think still exists is like the Dungeons and Dragons, like people who do
Oh yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
I don't think that stigma's ever gonna go away because that's like next level nerd. But but yeah, it was 10, 10, 15 years ago, like World of
yeah,
Warcraft was that, like uh like that's so nerdy, man. Like why on earth are you doing that? Like, yeah,
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 yeah.
it's totally different today. It's just nice. But yeah, I'm curious, like 5 years from now, what that's going to be like. So did you ever watch like Ready Player One or
Yes, there was the
read anyway?
movie. Yeah, yeah. There was a movie with the VR stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I watched
Yeah,
that.
it's one of my favorite books, and so like I've read the
Oh,
book like 3 or 4 times now. Like it's insanely awesome. I'm not like a big like reader of books, but like that's the technical term. Is reader of books. Like it's bibliophile is the technical term, but I am not a huge reader, but or whatever, but like I would much rather watch a movie on something, but like the book and the movie are like 100% different. And so yeah, that's like the one time you'll ever hear me say, oh, the book is so much more better than the movie. This is the only time I'll ever say that. I would much prefer to watch a 2 hour long movie than read a book. But yeah, this book is so much better. But yeah, I kind of curious of like in 20 years or 15 years, like how close to like that type of stuff is the world going to be, where like everything is done through like a VR type of thing, and like you order all your food and you do this and your job is through that and all this stuff. It's like there are so many people now who are, their jobs are like video games and stuff. So I don't feel like it's out of the question.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And I think like the game takes place in like the year 2040 or something like that, or the movie takes place in like 2040, 2042, I forget. So it's not that far out, and so yeah, I'll be curious, like see how close like some of that stuff is.
It would be interesting to see. Yeah.
All right, well, any final thoughts
Um,
on any of those things, or did you skip anything that you that triggered you? You're like, oh god, I have
no,
to.
no, no, no,
Not
no.
necessarily triggered you in
I
a
don't.
good way of like, oh, I totally forgot about this game. Yeah.
No, think we summed it up quite well. The one thing, maybe about add Ready Player One thing. Is there anything I want to add to that? I mean, the one question I maybe have for you is why the book was so much better than the movie.
It's a so much like so the movie, like, you unlock three keys or whatever. And in the book, not only do you have to like unlock and get three keys, but to get to like even get access to the keys, you have to do these other challenges. And so like in the movie, they only do like three things, but in the book,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
like nine. And
Okay.
so it's much more complex. And the funny things that he has to do in the book are, it would be much harder to get the rights to do in a movie. So I understand why it didn't happen in the movie, because
Okay.
of
Yeah.
like copyright laws and things like that. But yeah, the book is really good and really clever, especially anybody who like is into like video game nostalgia, movie and TV nostalgia, things like that. But the Ready Player One movie was a little bit more modernized. So the book is like 100% 80s. Like it's all stuff that happened in the 80s. And so it's a little bit older stuff. Would be the only thing. Like I've heard somebody read it and it's like, well, this is just like somebody's like brain dump of their childhood is all the book is. Like I get it. Like it's a lot of like just like name dropping of everything. But yeah, it's really unique. And I think it would be much better off as like a Netflix series or something like that. Like a 10-part series. It would be, reading the book, it would be very hard to put it into a 2 hour movie. So, they condensed a lot of things.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, and the characters themselves are a little different, and so, but yeah, the book, if you have desire to read a book, I would highly recommend that one. So
Okay.
my book
Ready
is like
Player
virtually
One.
ruined because I've gone through it so many times and just read it so much. So yeah, it's a good one. I may have to like legit read it again. And they made a Ready
Mhm.
Player 2. That book is out. Came out last year or the year before, and it's not as good.
No, okay.
So it's
And
kind
let
of a
down.
bummer. Yeah, it's a bit of a letdown, which is not uncommon. Uh, but it was decent, but it was perfectly fine the way they wrapped up the book and the movie. It was perfectly fine. All right, sir. Well, so for people who don't know where Cameo exists, where can people find you on the intrawebs if they want to check out your content?
Because here we are still old school. We don't have something like the how do they call it right now? The metaverse or something.
The,
This
the
new buzzword.
metaverse.
You can find me on YouTube if you want, ladies and gentlemen. The name is Program Cameo. It's just some apex goofy stuff that I try to do with this man here. And yes, you can find me on Twitter too. It's the same thing, Cameo as always. And feel free to feel free to check it out if you want. You
Absolutely. So
are
yeah,
very welcome.
links for that stuff will be below, so you can go. Feel free to go check him out. All right.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. All right. Well, yeah, again, thank you very much, Kamiyo, for coming and hanging out. And
It's always a pleasure.
all right. We'll talk to you later. See ya.
Bye bye.